everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sari and you are watching my knitting podcast videos. And in today's episode, like always, I'm going to be showing you what I'm knitting at the moment. Also a couple of things that I have finished. And I will also talk about my upcoming book. You can already see me wearing one of the designs that is going to be in the book, but I'll talk about that a bit later. And also tomorrow is the first day of September, so I'm ready to launch the last pattern in this year's summer sock knit along. So I'm going to be talking about that as well, and I'll actually start with that because I had a really good intro run over here about the summer sock knit along. So if you don't know anything about my summer sock knit along, a recap. So this was already, I think, the 4th year of me running this little knit along during the summer, and I got the idea for the knit along because every time I knit a pair of socks, then you get quite a lot of leftovers, especially if you're using a 100-gram skein for the socks. Then you end up with almost half of the skein as leftovers. So I wanted to come up with an idea of kind of like challenging myself to use the leftovers instead of always like starting a new skein when I cast on a new pair of socks. So I came up with this idea of having a summer sock knit along where you have 3 skeins of yarn and you're going to make 4 pairs of socks with those 3 skeins. So the last pair of socks will be always kind of like a mix of the previous yarns, so it's a scrap yarn project. Of course, you don't have to use like the specific yarns from the knit along for the socks, so you can use any kind of leftovers. And even though if you're working it outside of the KAL, so you're not taking part of the knit along, then you can of course use whatever yarns you want for the socks. So that was the idea, and this year we had a bit of a late start, so I was really busy with my book during the spring, so I didn't have time to start. Usually we have, or the previous years we have started already in May, so the first month of the KAL has been May, and then June, July and August, but this year we only started on the first day of June. So to get the full 4 months for the knit along, we are going to still be running for the whole September. So there's still 1 month left in the knit along, and I'm going to be setting up the Ravelry group thread for the finished socks tomorrow when the last pattern launches. So when you have made your 4 pairs of socks with this year's summer sock knit along patterns, then take a photo of all of those socks together and post it in the Ravelry group, and then you can win prizes. So I will post a link to the Ravelry group about the summer sock knit along with all the information, all the patterns, all the prices, all the deadlines and so on below this video. Like I always post all the yarns that I have used and so on, all the pattern names, yarn names, everything is below this video. Also, I made a video at the beginning of the summer about the summer sock knit along, so you might want to also watch that. But let's go through this summer's summer sock knit along. So we started in June, with the summer solstice socks that you can see here. So this year I teamed up, this was the first time that I teamed up with a dyer for the yarns that I used. So usually I have just bought everything myself and kind of like looked all over where to find yarns that I like, but this year I teamed up with a Finnish dyer called Säie Wool, and they made a specific colorways, new colorways for this year's summer sock knit along, and they sold them as sock sets. So the winner will of the knit along will get a sock set from Säie Wool. They can choose their own favorite color, so it doesn't have to be the colors that I used, but there are other options as well. So this colorway is from their normal range that is always available, so this is not a specific color for the summer sock knit along. This is the Blckberry Yoghurt, and the summer solstice socks have this cable and lace pattern here on the front of the foot, and then little cable pattern on the back of the foot. So these were the first patterns that, or the first pattern that I released for this year's knit along, so summer solstice socks. And then we had the Minerva socks, you can see here. So this is the specific colorway dyed for this year's summer sock knit along. The colorway is called Tropic Pop. It's really beautiful, very bright, kind of like peach apricot kind of orange. And the Minerva socks have this cable pattern on the front, and the same pattern is also on the back. And they are knitted from toe up, and they have gussets and heel flaps, and there's also a heel that looks like a French heel, but since these are knitted toe up, it's not kind of like the traditional French heel, but similar to that. And yeah, the Minerva socks were the July socks of these years, and they were actually the only ones that I ended up knitting toe up. So those are the Minervas. And then we had my personal favorite. These are super simple, but there's still something really fun about them. So these are the summer girl socks, and they are started at the cuff. So there's a little bit of ribbing on the inside, so then the cuff is folded double, so everything you see on the top is just like a plain stockinette, but it still has the ribbing, so it fits snugly on your leg. So if it was just like raw stockinette, it wouldn't have any kind of stretch, and also it would start rolling. So that's why I made the ribbing on the inside and made the fold. And then we have like this little fun ruffle and my favorite type of heel, so heel flap, gusset, and a round French heel. And also this colorway was specifically created for this knit along, so this is the Toasted Sienna colorway, and it's super beautiful. I absolutely love it. It's not red, but it's not brown either, so it's a beautiful like terracotta kind of colorway. Super nice. So these were my favorite socks from this summer, because they have a little bit of technique. So you have the fold, you have the ruffle, but the rest of the sock is very plain, kind of like vanilla sock. So even though there's like a little bit of technique, a little bit of detail, but you still get the sense of just like working in the round in stockinette stitch, and it goes so fast. So I made this when I was on summer holiday. We rented a couple of summer cottages, so I sat there and I read a book So this summer I have been trying to teach myself to read a book at the same time that I knit. I realized that often when I knit, I'm just like scrolling on my phone at the same time, so news or Instagram or something like that. Then when I realized that I'm able to read news on my phone while I knit, then why not read a book at the same time? So that's something that I've been trying to learn. I think it's going quite fine already. I can knit something very simple, such as this, while I'm reading a book, but if there's a lot of pattern, for example, I don't think I could manage something like this while knitting or while reading a book. But yeah, reading a book, I think it takes a bit more concentration than like watching movies at the same time while you're knitting, because watching movies you can just listen, you don't have to like watch everything, but for reading you have to keep your eyes somewhere else than you're knitting to make it happen. But anyway, and this is the color combination that I used for this year's summer sock knit along. So these 3 colors, and like I said, the last pattern includes all of these colors. So this is what I came up with, and I wanted to make something fun to knit, and also I was really inspired by kind of like those old Missoni stripe patterns, so I wanted to create this a bit of zigzag pattern, and I added these contrasting stripes between the lace patterns, and they are knit and purl rows, so they bring a little bit of depth and texture to the pattern, so it's not just plain stitches. So I'm super happy about this. I chose the yarn that I used for the Summer Girl socks for my main color, because I thought it kind of calms everything down. Both of these are quite bright, so I wanted to have this as my main color for the socks. So they kind of have, like, has a bit of a calming effect, at least I think so. And here we have them. I'm calling them scrapbook socks because for me, I kind of like, when I started to make these, of course it's a scrap yarn project, but all these yarns bring memories from my summer holidays. So the summer solstice socks I knitted in May, and this one I knitted in June, around midsummer. And then, like I said, the brownish Summer Girl socks I made during my summer holiday at summer cabins. So they are kind of like the same idea as you have like a scrapbook with all your little memories, photos, tickets, postcards and so on. So these are also kind of like a collection of memories for me of all the places where I have knitted, all the people I have knitted this with, so who I have been talking often, also where I bought the yarn now. Of course, all the yarns are from Säie Wool from Porvoo, but still I think it's a really nice way to make a collection of memories, to like make these little scrap yarn socks. And of course you can use different color for each of the stripes, so if you have more scraps or you don't have enough of one yarn to create all the 3 stripes that you need for each sock, then you can of course use more colors, more yarns for that. That I forgot to say about the summer sock knit along, that you don't have to use specifically 3 different yarns, so you can use one yarn for each of them, and then for example use a fourth yarn for this. So I think this would also look really nice as a unicolor pattern, so you don't have to even have to do the stripes. So yeah, that's about summer sock knit along. So one more month left to knit the socks, and you don't have to make long cuffs if you don't want. I'm okay with shorties if that's something that you want to do. If that's what you prefer, then I'm fine with having short cuffs for the socks. And quickly showing yarns for that I just bought. Kind of wanted to make a couple of, I have ideas for a couple of other socks as well, so I just bought a Filcolana Arwetta yarn in a couple of different colors. But when I got the yarn from Post, I realized that these are 50-gram skeins and not 100-gram skeins, so I just weighted these socks, and they are 60 grams, so a 50-gram skein of sock yarn. I don't think it's quite enough for a pair of socks, but I have to see how far I get with this. So maybe I will start them toe up and then see how far I am when I'm halfway done with the skein, or otherwise I have to go and buy one more of each. So this one is the colorway 978, and this one is the colorway 977. There you are, both very neutral colors. So one of the ideas that I had was Colette socks. So maybe you're already totally fed up with my Colette patterns. You're going to see the Colette pullover finished. So if you have watched my previous episodes, you might remember that I made a Colette t-shirt. I also made a tutorial for it, so if you want to make one of your own, there's a tutorial now on YouTube that you can watch with all the techniques how to make it. And then I made a Colette scarf, so I have the longest version here. So this is the Colette scarf pattern. It's currently being test knitted. Looks like this. So it has a bit of cables, a bit of lace, as you can see. So I think it would make a really nice sock pattern as well. So I have to see how that works. But yeah, let's talk a bit about my book. So the book is something that I've been working on for a bit over 1 year. So I made my publishing contract a year ago in August, at the beginning of August if I remember correctly, and it's something that I've been working on behind the scenes ever since that. And I think I will make a whole other episode about the book where I will show you all the designs as soon as I get to go ahead from my publisher. So the book is now at the point that I have seen the Finnish layout, so it's coming out both in Finnish, because that's my native tongue, and also in English at the same time, so I'm not making the same mistake as I did with my first book, that I supposed that it was supposed to come out both in English and in Finnish, and then it only came out in Finnish, and the English translation never happened, even though we had agreed upon it and so on. I don't know what happened there, but my previous book, and that came out 2 years ago, only in Finnish. It was kind of like one of those projects that where everything that is possible to go wrong goes wrong. So from the very first beginning, our book is called, the first book is called Neulan matkalla. It means like a knitting journey. And we were supposed to go around Finland to different places to talk about wool and raising sheep and kind of all those things. And then COVID came and lockdowns, and you couldn't go anywhere, so we had to scrap the idea and kind of like start again with it, and think like everything that could possibly go wrong with the project went wrong with the project, until the point that I thought that now everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, and there's like nothing left that can still go wrong. And then there were still things that went wrong. So yeah, I will be showing you one of the designs from the previous book that I'm currently working on myself, translating into English, and the test knitting call for that will come quite soon. So I'm starting to independently release the patterns from the first book in English, so I'm doing the translation myself and so on. So, but I learned from that, and this time I have made the book myself in 2 languages at the same time, so double the work, but it's now coming out both in Finnish and in English. And like I said, I have seen the Finnish layout and I'm so super excited about it. I can't wait to show you more of it. It's so beautiful, even though I say it myself, it's so beautiful. I don't even have I was left totally speechless when I saw the first layout. So Viola, who took the photos and did the layout, has done such an amazing job on it, so it's going to be so beautiful. And like I said, this is one of the designs in the book. So this is the Calliope pullover, and this was knitted in Mayak yarn, and this is the Tibetan cloud wool, I think is the name of the yarn. I will write it below this video. So this is one of the designs that is in my book, and like I said, it's currently being laid out, and then it's going to the printing house, so it should come out at the end of September or very early August latest. So we are getting very close to the release of my book, so that's so exciting. So this is the Calliope pullover. Looks like this. Has also a little bit of lace on the cuffs, so it's knitted top down in the round with lace pattern here also. Very typical me design, if I can say that myself. All the patterns in the book are very classic. I wanted to create something, a book that is, it looks, first of all, it looks like me. So I wanted, this time I wanted to do the book alone, so I would have the final say about everything, and I would have to kind of like balance between other people's ideas and conceptions about things, so I could only do me, something that is very me, what I want to do. And I chose all the yarns that I have used for the book are very neutral, so there are only neutral colors of white, grey, different kinds of browns and beige and undyed wool. A lot of them are from my favorite yarn manufacturers and dyers. So it's going to be something that looks a lot like me, and I hope you're going to like it as much as I do. I'm super happy. A lot of cables coming up, a couple of very simple minimalistic designs, a bit of lace, and there's also one colorwork sweater with a colorwork yoke coming up. But I will start showing more about the book soon, but I just wanted to show you something, a little bit of sneak peek or a taste about what is coming up, and this is one of my favorite designs from the book, so I thought that it's a very good way to introduce the book to you by showing this one to you. I have 3 things that I have on my needles. I have been trying to reduce the amount of things that I cast on and trying to work more on the things that I have on my needles, so that I often have the tendency to cast on very many things at the same time and then work on them. So of course when I'm working on more projects at the same time, it takes longer for me to finish them. So I wanted to kind of like more like make streamline my work and work on fewer projects at a time. So this is the Alvar pullover that I showed you already in my previous video, and I have showed you another version of this pullover already back in last maybe November. I think it was the video that I filmed in Barcelona about Barcelona knits, because I was knitting the first version of the pullover in Barcelona. I remember I had the project with me over there, but like I told you, I didn't quite like the yarns that I have chosen for the first project, so wanted to think about it a bit, and then I ended up changing the yarn totally. So now I'm using this this one. So this is, let's see if it wants to focus on it at all. Well, it's Le Chat Quick Tricot, and the yarn is called Salem, and this is the natural colorway. So it's 60% merino, 20% yak, and 20% silk DK weight yarn. And it's one of the nicest yarns that I have ever worked with. It's so soft, it almost feels like kind of like it's liquid in some sense. So it's so like creamy, silky, so nice. And this is the back of the sweater. So it has like this knit and purl pattern that creates kind of like this Gansy style patterns for it, and I used the same exact same stitch pattern for a dog sweater that I made last year, and ever since I have been wanting to use the same pattern for a sweater. So I started it already almost a year ago, put it aside, and then now I started it again, and now I'm working on the front. So it's going to have a drop shoulder construction, and then I'm working on the front, and there's of course going to be a neckband. So that's the Alvar pullover, and I think I now finally figured out how to get the pattern to continue. So now it's just kind of like smooth knitting for me from now on. So I have already done all the thought process for it, and now I just need to do the manual labor. And then I have another one that I have cast it on ever since I filmed my previous video, and this is kind of like not when I started to knit, but when I got more into knitting. I got more into knitting when I found Pinterest. I think the year was 2011. I found Pinterest, and through Pinterest I found Ravelry, and it was like the holy grail for me. So there was so much inspiration, so many things to knit. And I remember back then, a bit over 10 years ago, everybody was making like these chevron shapes. So there were so many different chevron shapes, chevron stripe projects back then. There were like blankets and a lot of scarves and also sweaters and pullovers, but I think there were many of them used a lot of colors, and I remember I really liked the style back then, and I also made a bit of stuff like this back in the day. And when I was working on the Missoni stripe socks, so these ones, so these kind of have the same idea that the lace is with increases and decreases making the zigzag shape, so it's not made as a fair isle or threaded knitting, so you're only working with one color at a time, and these are like stripes, and the stripes make the zigzag color, and the same is here. So this is just like one row of knitting that makes the zigzag shape, so it's not like this that I have to kind of like change colors and so on. So I wanted to go back to that trend of having the chevron patterns, and thought about a bit more modern and also a bit more me way to use it, and I settled on kind of like a mix between a basic Breton sweater with Breton stripes and with the chevron pattern. So I chose like this very neutral colors for the stripes. So I have only made one stripe so far, but there's going to be more. So the first stripe is somewhere over here on me, and then I'm going to continue with them on the body. So I was planning to always make a slightly wider beige stripe, and then this black stripe after that. So I'm going to continue a bit still in the beige color, and then add another black stripe. But now I'm working on the neckband. I like making the neckband quite early on, because it gives an idea how the sweater is starting to look like in the end, and it kind of looks, I think it looks nicer and more finished when you have the neckband ready, rather than you have a very raw edge for the neck. But yeah, this is it, and I thought this is a good place to do the neckline, because I ran out of the yarn here for the body, so I was supposed to add another skeins over here. So I thought that before I do that, I will do the neckband. For this one I'm using two different yarns. So Sundance Garn, Alpaca Silke, and this is the colorway 2521 over there. And I'm combining it with Sundance Garn Tune Silk Mohair. This one. Colorway is 3021. So this is the color for the beige part, and then for the stripes I'm using the same yarn. So this is the Alpaca Silke and Thin Silk Mohair, and the colorway is for both 1099 there. So it's black. So that's the one that I'm using for the stripes. So this is the color combination that I'm using for that. And I think it was after my last video, somebody left a comment below the video asking why I and everybody else is doing drop shoulder designs at the moment, and I kind of wanted to talk a bit about that. So for me, the first thing I always think when I start to design is what I want to knit. So that's kind of like the driving force for me. So I always start with what I want to knit, what I want to wear, what I want to knit, and that's like the driving force. But as a knitwear designer, and especially now that I'm self-employed, so this is my only source of income, then I think it's not enough that I just think about what I want to make. I also have to think about what other people might want to make. So if I was only knitting for me and not doing patterns, or maybe even doing patterns but not wanting to get my living out of it, then I would probably sometimes be designing very different things, more complex, often maybe a bit more artistic. But for me, knitwear design is not just about who makes the most beautiful sweater or scarf or anything, but it's also about who writes the best patterns. So it's not just enough that you are a really good knitter and you can knit and create and come up with really beautiful ideas, but you also have to be able to put the ideas on a paper in that sense that it's easy for people to follow, and people can replicate what you made with the pattern that you give them. And the pattern has to be easy to read and understandable and so on. And especially if it's something that you are grading to different sizes. So for example, a sweater that has more than one size, then the idea that you have has to be, you have to be able to kind of like translate the same concept into many different sizes. So you have to be able to create things from size XS to 5XL to 6XL or so on, and so that the design looks different, the same even though the size is different. So that's one thing that you also have to consider. So you can't just make something that you want to make, but you have to make something that first of all other people want to make, because if other people don't want to make what you create, then the pattern doesn't sell. So it's as simple as that. And also it has to be something that is possible to write down and grade to different sizes. So I kind of, as a designer, I try to move between or inside these parameters. So like I said, I can't do everything and anything. And of course I always try to do different types of things. So for example, this one has a circular yoke, whereas these ones that I just showed you has drop shoulders. And not everything looks good on everybody. So if I create a raglan design, then somebody comments, always somebody comments that they don't like raglan, raglan doesn't suit them. I make a circular yoke, then somebody comments that they don't like circular yokes, they don't look good on them. I make drop shoulders, then somebody comments that they don't like drop shoulders and it doesn't look good on them. So there's like absolutely nothing that I can do that is something that everybody likes and it looks good on everybody. It's just impossible. So I have to choose, and at this moment I have noticed that the most sweaters that trend are drop shoulders. So to get money in, that's what I do. But of course, in this video I'm going to show you 3 finished projects. One cardigan and 2 sweaters, and there's a circular yoke, there's a drop shoulder, and there's a raglan. So I try to come up with all of those things, but at this moment the trending fashion is a drop shoulder because people want to have quite a loose fit. They want to have positive ease. So a drop shoulder construction is one of the easiest way to create that look and shape. So that's why I make quite a lot of those at this very moment. Yeah, but I have one more thing that I wanted to show you, and then I will show you the things that I have finished. So I started another little scarf that you can see over here, and this is good to have the same cables, or it already has the same cables as my Kaarina t-shirt that I made earlier this year. So it's going to have quite a similar shape to my laulu shawl, that it's going to first expand and then it starts to go in again until there's another little tip like this at the other end. And for example, the laulu shawl that I made 2 years ago, I wanted to do something that you only need 1 ball of fingering weight yarn and 1 ball of silk mohair for it. And I also I only have 1 ball of each of these, so I want to do that the same thing for these. These yarns I have the same yarn but in different colorway over here. So it's Chaos yarn over here, and it's organic soft merino and organic brushed alpaca. So it's not silk mohair this time, it's 100% organic brushed alpaca. It's really nice. And these ones I bought when I was in Copenhagen this summer. These are going to be another Colette scarf for me. And these ones I bought from Berlin when I was in there for the wedding wool weekend in July. It's the same yarns as the yellow, but I don't remember the name of the colorway. I think it was Confident, and then, or no, the yellow one is Confident, but I will write it below this video. So that's the Kaarina, little Kaarina scarf coming up. So nice. I will show you 3 sweaters that I have been working on, and also the 4th one for my book. So this is one of the sweaters that I had in my first book, the one that is only in Finnish, and this one is called Pohjola, and it's knitted top down with this Fair Isle pattern. It's fingering weight yarn. I used Kästakero Pom Pom, a Finnish dyer, and their fingering weight Suomasingo, it's a Finnish sheep wool. And so this is something that people have been asking about a lot on Ravelry, if the pattern is coming out in English at all. So I decided to add that one to Ravelry, and to do that I have to first translate the pattern, and I also wanted to have a new call for test knitters for the English version of the design. So I'm going to be releasing this very soon. And here is the Billy pullover. in my previous video I hadn't made the button bands, or I think I was just working on it, but now I have finished the button bands and this is currently being test knitted. I just sent out the test knitting version to my test knitters yesterday. So it's this one, and for this one I used Cascade 220 and this colorway is 8012 and it's called Doe Skin, and it's really beautiful heathered greyish brown yarn. I can show you how it looks like when I put it on me, just opening the buttons. One of the reasons that I don't like making cardigans is, first of all, I hate sewing in buttons. I think it's boring and it takes a lot of time. It's tedious, so I don't really like doing that. But also I think it's always so hard to pick the right buttons, and for this I had, I think, maybe 5 different buttons that I was going back and forth, because I think the buttons can really kind of like change the look of the whole design. So if you choose different buttons, then the whole kind of feeling of the design becomes totally different. So this is the Billy cardigan, and it's similar to my Billy pullover that I released 2 years ago. It's one of my best selling patterns, like still, and I wanted to make a cardigan version of it. And this is something that my sample knitter made for me already last winter, but kind of like the same with the Alvar pullover, that well, it was, the spring was coming, I was thinking about summer patterns. I wasn't really interested in making something this thick anymore at that point, and also because of the test knitting and so on, I think the pattern release would have been so late in the spring that I don't know if anybody would have wanted to be buying a pattern for a worsted weight cabled cardigan at that point, but I think now is the perfect time for that. So this is the Colette pullover, and you might remember seeing me first of all knitting and then wearing, I think I was wearing the Colette t-shirt in my previous video, and maybe even after one episode before that. And like I said, I also made the Colette t-shirt tutorial, so it's you can also use the same tutorial to make this one as well. Of course, this one just has a longer sleeves and it has a couple of decreases below the sleeve. But this is the Colette pullover. I used these yarns. So it's Knitting for Olives Merino. Some trouble focusing the camera on the skeins today. This is the colorway Cream, and then I combined it with Knitting for Olives Soft Silk Mohair, and the colorway is called Marzipan. So this is the combination that I used for this sweater. I bought the yarns when we went to Copenhagen this summer, so I visited Knitting for Olives shop in Copenhagen, and also the Sommerfugel yarn shop as well, so I bought these from there. And yeah, the Colette pullover, I think this is my instant favorite for now. Ever since I finished knitting the t-shirt in the summer, I wore the t-shirt version of this design a lot during the summer. I think I use it like quite many times every week, and I think the sweater is going to be another favorite for me. Another little thing that I made different with the sweater than with the t-shirt, I made the neckband longer, and also I folded it double, so the t-shirt version has a shorter and a single layer neck, and of course, like I said, longer sleeves. One more thing that I wanted to show you today, it's also currently being test knitted. This is the wood anemone tea, not wood anemone tea, wood anemone pullover. So you might remember me making the wood anemone t-shirt. It's actually, I have it over here. So this is almost like the same pattern. This has slightly tighter gauge than this one. Also, this version has the bubbles. This one doesn't. So, oops, I dropped something. Yeah. So this one doesn't have the bubbles, and the t-shirt is knitted in a worsted weight yarn, and this is a fingering plus silk mohair, so it combines to DK weight yarn, so it has a slightly tighter gauge, slightly slimmer fit, and also the body is a bit longer than the t-shirt. But yeah, I didn't knit this myself, so I had my sample knitter work on it, and I saw these yarns in June when I went to Jyväskylä and visited Tititu yarn shop over there, which is like one of the best yarn shops in Finland, and I fell in love. I have to show you the yarns. I have them over here. So I hadn't used this yarn before. So this is Lanagata. Of course, it's like very silvery, so I'm not sure if you can see. But this is the VIP yarn. It's a fingering weight yarn, and it is, to see where's the fiber content. So it's 80% extra fine merino wool and 20% cotton. The colorway is 923. And then I combined it with Filcolana Tilia, also very bright blue color, and the color is called 337, and this is 70% kid mohair and 30% silk, and it's knitted top down, circular yoke, lace, and so happy about this. I've never really been a fan of anything blue, but at this moment I'm like really into this kind of like electric, cool blue color, and I'm surprised that it actually goes quite well with my skin color and my hair. I always thought that blue doesn't suit me, but really like this one. So that's everything I wanted to show you in today's video. I hope you have enjoyed watching this video and hear me talk about the summer sock knit along, about my book and what I'm knitting at the moment. And if you like my videos, remember to subscribe to my channel so you will always get a notification when a new video comes out from me. And yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Bye!